Anger can feel like strength. It can make your voice louder. It can make your body feel powerful. It can make you believe, for a moment, that you are in control. But there is an old story that says, anger is not always power. Sometimes, anger is the first chain we place around ourselves. There was once a man who was known throughout his village for his strength. He worked hard. He spoke with confidence. He protected his family. And when danger came, people wanted him nearby. But there was one thing everyone feared about him: his anger. A small mistake could make his face change. A careless word could make his voice rise. A disagreement could turn his heart into fire. People respected him, but they were never fully at peace around him. His wife chose her words carefully. His children became quiet when he entered the room. His friends laughed with him, but they watched his mood. Even his neighbors avoided asking him difficult questions. The man knew this, and this was the part that hurt him most. After every angry moment, when the shouting was over and the room became silent, regret would arrive. He would see the fear in someone's eyes. He would remember the words he had said. He would feel the heaviness in his chest. Then he would promise himself, next time I will stay calm. But the next time came. And once again, anger spoke before wisdom could enter the room. At first, he blamed others. They provoked me. They disrespected me. They should have known better. But slowly, he began to notice something painful. The people around him were not the only ones suffering from his anger. He was suffering too. His nights became restless. His mind replayed old arguments. His body stayed tense long after the moment had passed. It was as if anger came for a few minutes, but left its shadow for days. One evening, after shouting at his young son for dropping a clay bowl, the man saw the child step back in fear. The bowl had broken, but something else had broken too. The man looked at his son's face and felt ashamed. That night, he could not sleep. Before sunrise, he left his home and walked toward the hills, where people said an old wise man lived in silence. He had only one question: how do I defeat my anger? The path to the hills was long and quiet. With every step, the man repeated his question. How do I defeat my anger? He imagined the wise man giving him a secret phrase, or a breathing technique, or a rule to remember whenever his temper began to rise. By midday, he reached a small house beneath a large tree. An old man was sitting outside, repairing a wooden cup. The angry man bowed and said, "Master, I have come to ask for your help." The wise man looked up. "What troubles you?" "My anger," the man said. "It controls me. I try to stop it, but it returns. I hurt people I love. I speak words I regret. I want to defeat it." The wise man listened without interrupting. Then he asked, "When you are angry, what do you feel?" The man answered quickly, "Heat, strength, pressure. I feel as if I must speak. If I do not release it, it feels like I will burn inside." The wise man nodded. "And after you release it?" The man looked away. "Then I feel empty, ashamed, tired." The wise man placed the wooden cup beside him. "Then your anger is not leaving you when you shout," he said. "It is only changing form." The man frowned. "I do not understand." The wise man stood slowly and walked toward a small fire near the house. Inside the fire, a few red coals were glowing. He picked up a long pair of iron tongs and lifted one small burning coal. It glowed orange in the afternoon light. The wise man held it out toward the man and said, "Take this." The man stepped back. "I cannot hold that. It will burn me." The wise man looked at him calmly. "But imagine someone has insulted you. Imagine someone has been unfair. Imagine someone deserves your anger." The man stared at the coal. The wise man continued, "If you truly want to throw this coal at them, what must happen first?" The man did not answer. The wise man brought the coal a little closer. "What must happen before you can throw it?" The man looked at the coal, then at the wise man. "I must hold it." The wise man nodded. "And what happens to your hand while you hold it?" "It burns." The wise man lowered the coal back into the fire. "That is anger." The man became silent. The wise man said, "You believe anger is something you throw at another person, but before it reaches them, it must pass through you." The man looked at the fire. The coal was small, but even from a distance he could feel its heat. The wise man sat beside him and said, "Tell me, when you shouted at your son, who felt the anger first?" The man whispered, "I did." "When you insulted your neighbor, whose body was filled with heat first?" "Mine." "When you spent the night replaying the argument, who was still carrying the coal?" The man lowered his head. "I was." The wise man nodded. "This does not mean anger is always useless. Sometimes anger shows us that something is wrong. It can show us that a boundary has been crossed. It can show us that something needs to change." Then his voice became softer. "But anger is a messenger. It is not a master." The man listened carefully. The wise man continued, "When anger becomes your master, it takes your tongue and speaks through it. It takes your hands and moves through them. It takes your judgment and covers it with smoke. It makes you believe you are strong, while it quietly leads you like a servant." The man remembered the many times he had spoken too quickly. He remembered the faces, his wife's silence, his son's fear, his friend's distance. He had thought anger made him powerful, but now he saw something different. Anger had often made him predictable. A word could control him, a mistake could control him, another person's behavior could control the peace inside his own body. The wise man picked up a small bowl of water and placed it beside the fire. "Look," he said. The man watched as the wise man stirred the water gently. When the water is calm, it reflects clearly. The man saw the sky and the tree reflected in the bowl. Then the wise man shook the bowl. The water moved wildly. The reflection broke apart. "What do you see now?" the wise man asked. "Nothing clearly." "That is the mind under anger," said the wise man. "It may feel alive. It may feel powerful, but it cannot see clearly." The man looked at the shaking water until it slowly became still again. The reflection returned. The wise man said, "You do not defeat anger by pretending it does not exist. You defeat anger by refusing to obey it immediately." The man repeated the words quietly, refusing to obey it immediately. The wise man nodded. Between the spark and the flame, there is a small space. Most people never notice it. But in that space lives your freedom. The man stayed with the wise teacher until sunset. Before leaving, he asked one final question. "What should I do when anger rises again?" The wise man answered, "Do not begin with words. Begin with silence." The man waited. The wise man continued, "When anger rises, feel your feet on the ground. Close your mouth before your tongue becomes a weapon. Take one breath before you answer. Ask yourself, do I want to solve this, or do I only want to release fire?" The man looked toward the road home. "And if I fail?" he asked. "Then notice it. Repair what you can, and begin again. A man does not become calm in one day. He becomes calm each time he chooses not to feed the fire." The man bowed. Then he returned to his village. The same people were there. The same problems were there. The same careless words, broken bowls, delays, mistakes, and disagreements were there. but something inside him had changed. A few days later, his son spilled water across the floor. The old heat rose quickly in the man's chest. His face tightened, his voice prepared to rise. But then he remembered the coal. Before his anger could become words, he closed his mouth. He felt his feet on the ground. He took one breath, then another. His son looked at him, waiting for the storm. But the storm did not come. The man picked up a cloth and said quietly, "Help me clean it." The child nodded. It was a small moment. No one in the village would speak about it. No songs would be written about it. No one would call him a hero. But for the man, it was a victory. Not because he never felt anger, but because anger had risen, and for the first time, it did not rule him. And perhaps this is the lesson hidden inside the old story. Anger is not always the enemy. Sometimes it is a signal. But if you hold it too long, it becomes a burning coal in your own hand. If you throw it, you may hurt someone. But before that, it has already burned you. True strength is not the loudest voice in the room. It is the pause before the voice. It is the breath before the reaction. It is the moment when fire rises inside you, and you choose not to become the fire. So the next time anger comes, do not ask only, "Who deserves this?" Ask instead, "What will this burn if I hold it?" And then, if you can, put the coal down. If this story gave you something to think about, subscribe to Wisdomary Tales for more stories that make you think.